Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, here we are again. We've got two wonderful, beautiful souls in our studio today, and they don't really need a great deal of introduction, but we've got Donovan Truman and Darren Sissons. Welcome, gentlemen. It's honor to have you here. It's great always to be in your beautiful company. We're going to discuss about GPMS today and global people's monetary system, and we like to add a bit of a simplified divine law behind that as a beautiful tale to that. So how are you keeping, Darren? Shall we start with you first? How you
great to be with you guys. Thank you, Barrett, for the introduction.
Thank you.
Doing really, really well. Very excited about the developments with GPMS. The numbers keep growing, which we're just absolutely over the moon by. More and more of the guardians are speaking up. So our confidence is growing. We're all stepping into more of our own individual purpose now, which is wonderful to see. And it's just creating a level of interest now, which I think is just going to keep pushing it forward in a big way. And we're seeing more and more on the socials, people commenting now, so it's great. Me and Donovan have been doing a lot of other discussions while this has been growing around funding, because we're in contact with a lot of people, especially in Africa, that are really struggling just getting funds in while we're still building GPMS. It really is a big problem for them out there. So trying to come up with a solution where we can crowdfund in a simple way within the concept of GPMS, although it's going to be a separate entity in terms of the work that's been done, is a very, very important project that needs to be, the foundations need to be put in so that we can start building that and pushing that forward. Because I think until we've got a place where anybody that is a billionaire philanthropist that suddenly shows an interest in GPMS, and be like, right, where do I invest my money? Where do I start? So we need something in place to at least, get that going. And then it allows us then to start taking it down many, many different paths, because as me and Donovan have discussed, the strength is going to be in the numbers, and the more leaders that come on board that start putting their hands up saying, right, I'm ready. There's issues in my country, I want to be the contact. Then we need to obviously be able to cooperate and collaborate to try and get streams of money flowing to and from these different countries. And once we've got the basics in place, then we can start. I mean, we've got quite a lot of ideas, haven't we, Dan? We've been throwing quite a bit about, as where we can take this. I mean, just having a website set up where it's very easy to understand. People can just log on and instantly recognize what GPMS is about and what we're trying to achieve, but have the ability to interact with it so that we could raise money through the platform as well, through a shop, as well as the crowdfunding. So we can encourage members that are already have their own businesses that want to share their products that are aligned to the divine plan as well. So that's another thing that we've discussed. and also just encouraging people that, you know, want to grow and be educated and just be inspired by the whole process of what we're part of. I mean, I've grown so much just by knowing about GPMS. So anybody else getting involved, I'm sure they're going to be just as inspired as what I've been, and it's going to be exciting to just spread the word and get everybody that shows an interest as excited as what we are. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where it's all going to head, and having you on board as well, Barrett. I think it's wonderful, and looking forward to where it takes us, brothers.
Absolutely, bro. Donovan, it's lovely to have you here once again.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Just touching base with what just Darren just said about funding, brother.
Yeah.
What's your viewpoint on that?
So I mean, yeah, just for anyone watching this that might be watching it for the first time, GPMS.world, Global People's Monetary System, is a worldwide referendum. It's a voting, an opportunity to vote worldwide in agreement, in alignment, giving your consent to a plan that's basically going to liberate all of humanity, end poverty and debt, end taxes, end all of the world hunger, everything that we don't want, including wars and all of the slavery and everything, create a completely new, uplifting human experience for everyone. And it's basically a divine plan that literally is what we've all dreamt about. We've all actually imagined having as children, but basically had it stolen away from us, you know, because of the older system and establishment. But it's actually now possible to create it because we've got the internet, we've got the ability to come together, which is exactly what we're doing. And we're already in 159 countries and we've got 200,000 agreements. So that platform is facilitating the collection of the visible voice from the people to create the democratic choice and decision that can't be opposed by anyone. And what we've been obviously talking about just now, and what Darren was talking about, is an initiative which is basically going to be a branch, a separate arm, but an arm of GPMS, essentially for crowdfunding. Because obviously on this journey so far, we have been having, you know, so many people reaching out to us from different parts of the world, but obviously largely from Africa, that desperately need assistance. But we've also recognised that, you know, in reaching people to talk to them about GPMS.world, where it's actually doing very, very well is offline, because there's zero censorship, and that, you know, people aren't getting, you know, what's the word, shadow banned, etc., which obviously prevents their messages from being seen by people, or it leads them to believe it's being seen, but it's not being seen. And so we need to be proactively driving this big style offline. And an example that I kind of came up with, which, you know, when I was thinking about this idea of crowdfunding, is that if we had a billionaire come and join us, you know, today in alignment with GPMS, and they gave us £1 billion to advertise and market GPMS offline, we would be able to get it worldwide, you know, in a blink of an eye, literally, because you would be able to employ, like, you know, 100,000 people across the world to go out and speak to people full time on GPMS, and within months, 2 months, you'd have everyone knowing about GPMS. They would see people talking about this, see all of the advertising everywhere they looked with that kind of spending. So of course, like, this isn't a charity. GPMS.world isn't a charity. It's a paradigm shift. It's a platform to shift humanity by a free will choice. But we're basically broadcasting it and working, like, you know, as volunteers to get this out to people. We're not currently being paid. It does mean that a lot of us are working currently in jobs to still pay our bills, and that, you know, just slows down the process. So we needed to figure out a way that we could actually create. Now we're established and people can see it. It's actually, we've been putting 3 years worth of work into this freely. We can actually request that people see this as a charity, because there are people that urgently need medicine that we speak to all the time, but we can't help, you know, because our money's already stretched, you know, paying the bills. Everybody just puts in a little bit, those people that are aligning with it, that agree to it, then essentially, you know, lots of people putting in a little bit can create a lot of money. In fact, you know, very quickly with this strategy, we can actually encourage people to learn a very simple process to introduce GPMS to their friends, but show them at the same time the proposal that is what's going to accelerate GPMS from coming in and getting into reality in a matter of months, as opposed to hundreds of years. because that was something else that we kind of recognized, or I've certainly recognized, I'm sure many have, when they've spoken to friends about GPMS, is, well, it's a great idea, it sounds beautiful, but I can't see it happening in my lifetime, which is obviously a lot of people aren't thinking about how things go viral on the internet these days. But again, you know, of course, if we don't have any funding, it makes the job harder, because we're having to rely upon more and more people volunteering their time for nothing, and without spending money on advertising, which is obviously how all the big corporations and the governments and the charities work, is by getting funding and donations. So why should this be any different? So yeah, so that's what's kind of given birth to us talking about this, and then we've obviously got an idea to create our own website. And yeah, we've got some ideas of see what we were going to call it, but yeah, it is going to be separate. It's not to be confused as being Global People's Monetary System, and Global People's Monetary System is asking people to donate, because it's a free will choice and it's free to create it. Because once we get to the worldwide majority that agree to GPMS, they're aligned with it, then we have everything to create the monetary supply, because we have all of the infrastructure. It's all passed back to the people. So there's no question that we can create exactly what we wish as the people collectively, and do exactly what we want, which is to bring the heaven on earth to everyone, because we have everything at that point. But to get there, we need to obviously work on some strategies. So that's basically what's been going on. But yeah, I mean, here today, I thought it'd be great for us to exchange some of the ideas that Darren and I have been talking about initially, and we can obviously have our main first meeting on Saturday, hopefully, and yeah, Barrett's hopefully going to be able to host that possibly on this platform again, or we might do a Zoom. And Canada's going to join us as well.
Yeah, no, that's great, bro. Do you feel that there will be like a particular head office, or would there be like offices worldwide, or would have one hub that would deal with the distribution of the money worldwide? I mean, it's a concept that we're discussing.
So yeah, so at this point, what we need to do, and so if we get right into it now with basically what we've kind of been talking about in terms of the immediate sort of idea. So essentially, what we want to be going away with, you know, after this meeting, or the meeting on Saturday at least, is an idea to start looking at what we would spend the money on first by priority as it was coming in. We need to basically be co-creating this money flowing through from the ones that we're actually introducing it to that are willing and able to give. And so when we've got meaningful amounts that could actually be used for the purpose of, I mean, my original idea was that we would reserve 20% of whatever we receive to be used for assisting those that are in urgent need, for medication or food or also, whatever. But the 80% will be used to drive GPMS forward, because we're not a charity, and charities aren't sufficient. They just don't serve all the people that need it. So that's the whole point why one of the main reasons why we bring GPMS, because it solves all of that problem for everyone forever. So we have to get that priority right. So it's 80% is going to be used to drive the movement forward. So in terms of coming up with, we'll be planning obviously ideas, sharing ideas, and seeing, what kind of things we could spend the money on first to obviously allow more energy to be used and to be more effective at sort of generating awareness, and which results in consent. And we can try things out as well and actually monitor the difference, because we'll see the difference by the consents that are coming in through the platform. That's the beautiful thing about it, right? You actually see what's working. And so, yeah, once we've got that, we can actually use that as a proposal to actually also share with people that are being introduced to GPMS. So again, part of what we've been talking about is also encouraging leadership development. And, I've basically learned over the years a very simple process that makes it very easy for people to interest people in, in sort of learning or receiving information, because you give it in bite-sized bits. So you give them a 1 or 2 minute video, you give them a couple of those, and you give them maybe a 5-minute video, which is a bit longer, which piques their interest. It keeps them interested. It feeds them just enough so that they want to know more. And then you give them the website, of course, with GPMS, and then you can follow up and actually sort of say, look, have you got any questions, and are you ready to opt in? We want to basically help people who are able to connect with their friends and family and have a conversation, just actually say, look, we've got a proposal to take this forward now. We want to get this done as quickly as possible, because this actually will create the heaven on earth scenario, and we want to do it within months, not hundreds of years. And so we need people are obviously able to help us by introducing it to a few people themselves, but by doing it through a simple process that they can see themselves doing it. You know, like watching a video, which is a minute long, you know, having a simple conversation saying, are you ready to opt in? You are. Okay, great. Would you see yourself sharing this in the same way I've shared it with you? You know, and by the way, this is a proposal to use money to get this advertised offline. This is how we would generate the money. If you share it to a few people, very quickly, we can have this amount of money, which would go to this. Would you be able to give maybe $20 or £20, you know, and then ask anyone that you share this with to do the same, like contribute whatever they can. So again, it's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to be seeing that and think, oh yeah, I'll do it and I'll follow that process. I can see it and I will actually, you know, I'll go off and I'll try and introduce it to 3 people like that and do it in that way. And ask, you know, a lot of people maybe won't do that, but I think a lot more people would do it than perhaps we would think, because actually we're just asking them to introduce a free referendum ultimately. Yeah. So that's the initial kind of concept, and then we've got plans to obviously build websites and have like the shop that Darren mentioned, like an online shop which can raise funds. We can have time banking. There's all kinds of things that can come out of it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. That's brilliant. Dan, do you want to add something to that as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, me and Den have discussed many different aspects we can take it to. I think initially, like Den said, it's important that we prioritise driving GPMS forward, because without the infrastructure, a strong infrastructure in place, then there's no way we're ever going to get the money out to the people to do the job that he desperately needs to do. So yeah, there's a danger of making it too complicated at the beginning, but getting the framework in place, I think, is really important. And yeah, I think that's as much as I can add at this point, really, because obviously we still need to just get people like Renata on board, see what we can do with the website, and just have a chat about any other skills that we might need or people that can help us along this path, really. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, originally the plan for this call was more to sort of kind of prepare a little bit more for the call on Saturday, because obviously ideally what we want to do is just have a, you know, like a fairly structured call where actually I want us to have some fun with it. So I was thinking, you know, we'll have a timer and say, right, okay, we'll go round, we'll each have a few minutes so everyone can speak for a few minutes. Obviously it's like just a little bit of fun, because obviously the thing will go off and then it's like, okay, right, okay, anybody got anything to contribute to say at this point? If not, then you can carry on, kind of thing, you know. But yeah, just because the ideas are flowing in, there's so much to what I mean, Darren and I have just been exchanging a lot of ideas backwards and forwards, and there's so many things that we can take from that. Of course, going away and letting things integrate a little bit afterwards and actually coming up with our own ideas, you know, is where the power is, because, you know, 4 minds is always better than 2, and 2 minds is always better than 1. So, but yeah, we've got like this. I mean, I've got this access to this technology, which is actually a great technology. It's affordable. It's about $14 a month last time I checked, but it's a digital marketing technology, so you can build unlimited websites through with it. Of course, you'd have to pay a little bit extra for whatever domain names you're going to attach to it. But then you can also build, like, you know, digital magazines, you know. So again, that's something that could be used by the main global People's Monetary System arm, you know, the parent, team there, in terms of obviously doing like the newsletters and stuff, because that could look quite good for that, possibly. But there's other things that could be used out of that, and we'll just have access to that going forward. But yeah, having a page, just be able to, you know, almost like what we talked about once before, about maybe having like almost like an energy exchange center where people can, you know, promote their products and services, but also offer some form of exchange for like time banking as well. You know, it's a concept that we heard about, and Darren's looked into it a little bit before. And that's a great idea because it means that people can actually offer assistance to certain people and earn some sort of credits. Now that's just to assist people in different ways. So again, that's where we want to be careful that we don't overcomplicate things too much early on, but just to sort of touch on the fact that there's so many different ways that this can go and how it can expand. My key objective is to help us go viral with this within months. We've got a deadline for GPMS, a possible tentative indicator that we could potentially implement by November this year, November the 15th. Now, for most people, they would be like, well, I can't see that happening. But this is where the power of people being able to see a roadmap that can actually help us go viral. If it might not be in the mindset of knowing about how things can go viral on the internet, but a lot of people do know that. But at the moment, it's not going viral on the internet just yet. And it's because there has been certain levels of censorship, but also there's zero funding going into it as well. So when we actually just roadmap it for people and just say, look, the power of the mathematics of people, just many hands make light work. A few people sharing it with a few people and having those people opt into it based on the fact that they have a moral obligation now, and they can see that just by them sharing it to 3 people, very quickly exponentially grow to 64 million people within a very short space of time. If everybody just does it within a couple of days or a week, literally within 10 weeks, you could be at that kind of number. That's how quickly it will grow. That's how the multiplication of 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 works, right? And most people don't know that. I mean, it's simple mathematics, but people don't sit there playing around with their calculator. I do because I'm sad, but but it's very, very simple, and this is kind of known in the realm of like network marketing, because that's how the network marketing businesses would obviously sort of sell people on how simple or how easy it could be to make money if you just introduced a few friends and that just grew into a huge team overnight, and that's all you did, right? But except with a network marketing business, there's obviously products involved which are people that aren't necessarily looking to buy, and then they see it's a network marketing company and there's a stigma attached to network marketing. We're talking about creating the free world through a vote, so it's got no stigma apart from the fact that, can we actually do it? Well, until we actually basically start sharing it and putting the word out, no, we can't. But of course, that's why it's absolutely imperative that people actually start participating, and they're only letting themselves down if they don't do it. They're letting not just themselves down, but everyone else. So I think again, there's a level of empowerment that's involved with what we need to do. We need to help step into that leadership role and realize that they are instrumental. Everyone is instrumental in bringing GPMS in. Everyone's the main character, because with all of us contributing a little bit of energy and time and being determined to create it, it will happen very, very quickly. So, and now's the time to do it, because like the wars are continuing, all of the harm is continuing. So at what point are people, gonna sort of be ready? I think it's now.
I totally agree with you. Timing is divinely planned. But, there's so much representation of certain information out there, which, we can almost say it's false information. And there's a lot of warmongering going on in as far as what's happening in the Middle East and this, that, But, unless you're there and you're seeing it for yourself, it's almost hard to believe to the severity or the extent or how deep rooted it is, because a lot of it could be propaganda, a lot of it could be manufactured in as far as creating as much fear on the planet as possible. But with this kind of movement, with the we could cover aspects of truthful journalism as well, in as far as having sort of live teams out there and just putting it out there as it happens. Because I often question, in as far as to me, a lot of it is a pantomime in as far as what really is happening in our world. So yeah, I'm all excited. It's going to bring a lot of clarity as well, isn't it? Good public relations. It's not a case of trying to persuade people. It's about a level of education, bringing clarity, and I like the fact that we're discussing about putting certain online workshops as well, so
Yeah,
that it gives people their abilities to sharpen their level of ability to see truth as organically as possible. That's what also excites me as well. And obviously, it's a very powerful, energetic movement, isn't it?
yeah,
It's an instrument that is energizing people to come together. That's ultimately, you know, one of its grand purposes, isn't it? To bring people together rather than this level of separation that's taken place because of the amount of fear that has been pumped in our society, you
yeah.
know. But I'm
Well,
really excited because it's
people don't realize like this, what a gift this is, right? And when they get involved as well, they actually, do open their heart to the possibility, and not just that they're then actually seeing it for actually, well, this isn't just a possibility, this is occurring. You only have to keep on going back and having a look at that counter every other day, and you'll see the numbers are growing. There's no doubt it's growing. There's nothing to stop it. And even if the internet came down, at this point, we've got 200,000 people that have aligned themselves with GPMS. And most of those numbers are coming in from people on the ground sharing it through villages in Africa and Asia and India, who, to be honest, we can just basically collect the information. Like, the word is out now. It will grow organically with or without the internet, actually. But the point is that, like, I'm speaking to people like of all ends of the spectrum of the economy, and people are ready. I'm seeing it now. Like, they see the deception, they see the lies, and they see that they're not learning about this, and they're not going to learn about this through the mainstream media. The only way they're hearing about it is through someone like I or you and Darren, like, sharing it, and one of the other guardians, and there's more people that are ready to become a guardian. So it's exciting.
That is so profoundly powerful, brother. The word, Rick and I, we spent time with this, the word guardianship rather than ownership, because it's like it's a shift. We're creating this very powerful paradigm where people are going to go away from the idea of owning this, owning that, because the majority of people on our planet, as most of us are pretty conscious by now, is the way wealth is being distributed. It's so not balanced at all. So that there needs to be a massive, massive correction. And I can honestly, hand on heart, say I've not seen a movement of this ever. And you just have a look at the people who are involved, and you can feel their authenticity and their energy. Very humble, very kind, compassionate, sensitive, loving people, all coming together.
But yeah, just quickly, just chime in very quickly on that. What actually you got to remember, right, is that people have been, let's say that they've been cultivated to believe it when they see a professional production of people talking about something, and as honest and as transparent and as palpable that is, when they see it's just one or two people, they're not, and there's just a website. You see, that's where they see, oh, it's a nice idea, but I can't see it happening. What we're now having is people stepping forward more and more to actually do the public announcement, which has been happening in the last week or 2 weeks, and people from different countries around the world, so people can see the speakers, even in their own language. We had another lovely Renata over in Denmark. Was it Denmark? No, Netherlands, speaking in her language about GPMS. And we also had a affluent lady, or very well-spoken lady, affluent lady in the UK that was giving us her version of GPMS and how important it was. So she's been around, she's 85 years old. So, you know, this is going to create now more, you know, seeing that there's actually real people across the board that are actually aligning with this because of what's going on, and that's opening up the consciousness to more and more to see that actually, you know what, this is occurring, and people are agreeing to it. And then secondly, you know, this is one of the reasons why I put that video together that I sent you, you know, because that's professionally done in a studio, and because it's professionally done in the studio, you know, actually people will think, oh wow, okay, yeah, they'll pay more attention, sometimes pay more attention to people wearing suits in a nice kind of, you know, studio that's being filmed with it well edited and all the rest of it, which is one of the reasons why we need funding to be able to do that sort of thing ourselves. Because when we can do that sort of things ourselves, it transforms, you know, how people receive that information. So again, we've already got that. That's a juicy part of our little process that we're creating to actually make this really simple and very effective for people to share it now going forward. And now, because we've got these examples of the 1 minute reels of people like the panel 72, the World Panel 72, which is anyone that wants to make a public announcement for GPMS, that wants to step forward and do a minute or 2 minute video talking about it. That's very easy to share with someone. It's very easy to ask somebody to watch that, and they will watch it because it's easy to do. Whereas actually, if you try and, you know, explain GPMS and you just give them the website, you know, it doesn't have the same effect. So we're now figuring out, because we're well established with these different ways of actually getting more of a result, and the energy is just moving. It's just driving it forward now. So yeah.
That's awesome, brother. I'm truly excited. Dan, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just brilliant that we're getting more and more people speaking out. I think it was a major corner turn for GPMS. If I'm honest, it felt like a big shift had happened when more people started speaking out. So it's wonderful to see from all different ages and backgrounds. So it's wonderful. Regarding, you know, what me and Den have been discussing around, obviously the setting up of a funding platform. It is, the sooner we can get it actually in place, I think the better, because the way I see society at the moment, I think if we don't have something in place, we are going to be, it's going to get very, very hectic at some point. And I think now is a very, very important time to lay that groundwork 100%. In terms of like the funding aspects, I know we said maybe look at like a GoFunding style page initially, but I think as the funds start growing, we need something a bit more secure and that's on another level, really. I'm not quite sure where we start on that level, to be honest. I think we'd have to. I don't know if Rick's got any contacts in that finance world, because he's used to be in that finance world before, didn't he? Or any establishments we know we could trust to handle the money if it came in vast amounts. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, well, this is one of the things I was going to touch upon. It was one of the things that we were talking about doing earlier on, is actually setting up an official charity. But then, you know, we're above that in the sense of, you know, with charity setup, you're effectively asking permission, you know, to set up a charity, which of course we don't need permission to do what we're doing. We certainly don't. You know, we're creating the free world for everyone to liberate humanity. And so if we were to go down that route, we'd almost definitely have to be a little bit deceptive in our creation of a charity to be able to get it approved. But, you know, in terms of actually sort of, yeah, I mean, absolutely getting access or you know, as the funds come in, you know, the security side of it, I think creating a trust is probably what we're doing. That would be necessary. Yeah. So, but to obviously initially get it off the ground and to start, we can start with Yeah, we could obviously in the beginning even create a trust, but I'm not sure exactly what the cost is, if there's much cost in that. We want to keep the cost down, obviously initially for the startup, so it doesn't get stopped before it gets started because of the cost. You know, that's the thing. But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Barrett.
Yeah, no, excellent. I mean, I'm excited about the crowdfunding aspect, because the possibilities are absolutely endless. I mean, John, my beautiful son, and I, we spoke about the possibility of, you know, a farm kind of, we could organize, like if someone owns properties or land and they want to crowdfund, and people can have a share, and it gives them the opportunity to go into a place where, you know, we can work towards sustainability, affordable living. We can go into ways of different methods of creating, you know, new types of energy, you know. So, and being good stewards as we are, we can look at ways of ethical way of doing ecological work, and how we can bring together, you know, farming as you know, not having to use all these chemicals and evasive way of doing certain things. So it's creating a new benchmark, isn't it? GPMS is also going to be not interested in dismantling the old. I think it's doing a good job. It's dismantling itself, because more and more people are realizing it's pretty detrimental to humanity, that what's in place at the moment is causing a lot of harm. So people are going to stray away and go towards a model which is going to represent a form of upgrade. So this is the notion. This is what I'm feeling energetically, that it's not going to tread on anyone's shoes, because the system that's in place is not sustainable anymore. People are becoming so aware that unfortunately the system never had their best interest from the beginning. So suddenly this model is forming itself into an alliance where it's working for the people, by the people. And what's there not to be excited about? That's what I say. I genuinely feel the appeal is pretty universal.
Yeah.
Unless you're sort of on something that is affected your mind, which with such beautiful company as today and many more to follow, it will harmonize and neutralize the level of acidity and trauma that humanity's been going through for a very long time.
I think one of the things that we thanks brother. One of the things, obviously, you know, with new ideas, and with concepts like this and strategies, you know, the ideas are going to keep on rolling in, and that's why even with the great ideas, like obviously we want them to be able to move and change and develop, and that's where, you know, initially, you know, brother Rick was suggesting that we don't set up a charity, because obviously then we're basically setting up a limited company which is within the system and all the rest of it. But there is something to be said that, you know, from actually introducing something that's official to people, where they obviously have a trust in it. You know, okay, if we've got our own trust, and it was originally just like donations, a lot of people they would trust, but maybe some won't. But I think this is something that we need to discuss, obviously, with a greater number, like with Renata and yourself, and for us to go away and think about this. One of the things that's just come to me, right, which I just think is a great motivator, right, in terms of the funding that we're raising with crowdfunding, right? I've suggested that perhaps 20% of what we receive as donations goes to supporting those in, you know, urgent need of food, healthcare, etc., in Africa, India, etc. This means that what we could say to people is that as we're sharing this and as we're introducing this concept to you, which is to liberate all of humanity and end all of that world hunger and the need for charity, we ask if you can afford to give $20 that you do, and actually 20% of that is going to go to those that are urgently in need, which means if you can give $20, that is going to be $4. $4 will feed 2 children in Africa for 2 days. Would you do that, please? You know, you're then giving them, you're now actually saying that what you're going to give directly can actually feed 2 children in Africa, you know, as well as give us a contribution that's going to go partly to the crowdfunding of huge amounts of funds that can then be used to employ people. Because when you can actually employ people and you can say, right, well, we can actually pay you effectively, you know, to spend your time promoting GPMS instead of doing another job like working in retail. And we want, because what I'm seeing is to get this to go viral, like the idea with what you're talking about, getting the land and all the rest of it, that's great, but that's assuming that it's going to take us years to get GPMS in. It's not. I feel that this is really, really going to happen, especially with a strategy like this and what we're working on as we're co-creating together now with this strategy, that we have absolutely every opportunity now to actually drive this virally within months. So what we're suggesting is that we can actually basically help people essentially be able to focus on promoting GPMS rather than doing jobs which aren't serving humanity. And you can reward them based on the results, because obviously if they're getting the people to agree and they're also collecting at the same time a donation from many of those people, that we're obviously seeing that, and they're funding that, they're actually earning their own funding from the actual movement, and they're sharing it and getting funding. Do you see what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if that's might be confusing things.
No, please continue.
Yeah, that wavelength is that of course we're relying. It's like you know, people who work for a charity and they're on a commission basis. Basically, you know, they've got to get donations, but they'll earn commission, and that basically is paying them for doing work for the charity, right? So we're working in the same sort of way. Now, I think that's more feasible and more easy and palpable for people to sort of see as being a real opportunity, and a very exciting one, because we're creating heaven on earth together doing that. I mean, who doesn't want to work doing that? You know, because and creating it quickly. If we've actually got an official charity set up, because then also one of the aspects is, and what we can do with the website that we're going to have, is we can actually advertise and recruit people to come and work with us promoting it ultimately, you know, once we've actually established it a little bit possibly, or got it started. I mean, even just to, you know, because you have like these job boards where people advertise roles, you know, for their company, and they might pay a monthly fee, and then they get, you know, unlimited access to people's CVs. It means that we've got then a database where we can call people, and we can actually arrange, have a team that starts to arrange meetings where they talk to them about GPMS, and they talk to them about this opportunity and obviously what we're doing. And, you know, yeah, maybe some people won't be ready for it, maybe they will, but you've actually got their contact numbers, you can send them the information, you can take them through the process. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can come from that, you know. But again, if you've got a proper official charity, you can say, look, yeah, you can look at the GPMS website, you can look at our website, which is the GPMS World Funding aspect, the charity that we're going to create, which is actually, in order to create a charity, it needs to be set apart from anything else. And one of the things that we could, you know, focus on is the displacement of people in Africa through extreme weather, or the loss of food from their land, you know, because of flooding and stuff like that. And that's something that we could set up. So and obviously integrate that charity obviously with the actual the funding, the crowdfunding arm. So I mean, we can say that this is, we're on the board of this charity as the people that are also the ones that are moving this strategy forward, which is the crowdfunding strategy for GPMS World Funding. And then it just means that people who are affluent people, they'll see that as official, and they'll take it seriously. So again, I just think there's something to that possibly, but I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, no, that truly is exciting as well. There is a subscription aspect involved in this as well. We could organize something where people can subscribe to a particular channel as well, and you know, they get certain entitlements, and they can have a share of something as well, that we will, you know, the people will define that as we go along. But it gives them the exposure to advertise what they're doing, and you know, we'd have something in place as well to authenticate as well, as to whereabouts and their stand as good stewards as they are. So you know, it's a case of like, you know, raising the standards, you know. But I am excited about the subscription aspect of it as well. People can subscribe, you know, a few dollars a month. You know, I can't wait, because I'm happy to already put the money where my mouth is and say, yeah, I'd be happy to put X amount on a regular basis to support a certain movement, so that it creates a certain backbone, if you will, you know, like to have an administration in place that's then going to branch out as the revenues begin to come in with additional help and donations. And what you said earlier as well, I'm sure there are going to be some very wealthy, I wouldn't call it investors, but people who will come in and see the truth for what it is, and they'd be happy to support, because it is an awakening process for the many, you know.
Well, I kind of worked out that, like, basically, because again, obviously, yeah, there's the regular donations like on a monthly basis, but again, you know, that's assuming that that it's going to take longer than a few months to bring it in, when we obviously need to keep, you know, the focus on actually being able to manifest and create this within the months. So again, people don't actually need to donate that much if everybody is opting in and sharing. And if everybody does that and they only share it to 3 people who then obviously donate $20, but they do share it within a day, then literally within 2 weeks you could reach 64 million people, which would be $1.2 billion, you know, just from everybody giving $20. So that I mean, even way along the way, that would pay you know, let's say 60,000 people, you know, to be able to focus 100% of their time and earn $3,000 a month for those 3 months, and focus 100% of the time pushing GPMS. 60,000 people worldwide. That's how quickly it would then spread. But also, if you think about in Africa, like where you could put like a chunk of money into Africa, and you could have offices where people are literally just lining up and they're going in and they're registering their agreements, and they've got internet access with good data and no issues with connectivity, and, you know, hearing and being presented to GPMS, and, you know, and you could get, you know, you could get to 100 million people over in Africa very quickly if you had the right infrastructure, because you had the money for it. So again, it's helping people see that, you know, this is coming together. We've got these strategies. It doesn't take much to actually really drive it forward quickly, but people's willingness to do the right thing and to, you know, actually think about outside the box and think, you know, you are worth this, you know, because we're not doing it just for us, we're doing it for everyone, we're doing it for you. So, you know, and yeah, we've got people like, you know, now I'm speaking to people, I speak to people in the police force, speak to people like, you know, postmen, when we've actually got like a charity and stuff like that, and we've got a way as well of connecting with people who we can actually send the information to and follow up with people as well. And if people are actually able to apply themselves to do that, it's easy to do it with friends and family, generally speaking, and that's why a few people, everybody knows a few people that could afford $20. Everybody knows a few people that, you know, if shown a roadmap, perhaps will then be much more inclined to actually go forward with that roadmap and do something and take action. Because the issue is that currently why it's taken so long as well is just that people aren't following. It isn't a business, and we don't want it to be, you know, promoted like it's a business. But at the same time, we do need people to take the sort of steps that they would take if they were excited about something. If people are genuinely excited about something, they've got no problem in telling people about it. They've got no problem in actually asking them to do something, you know. But they obviously have to believe it themselves, you know. So again, it's building that belief, and it's switching the mindset, and that's where again all of these things come into play. That leadership development, you know, the simple process on how to invite and sharing a video, let a tool do the talking, let the website do the talking, but actually follow up and then just ask them, are you ready to opt in for this, and would you be willing to share it? You know, it's really quite simple. If the person that is opting in, that's going through that process or going to take people through that process, has actually experienced it in the right way, and they can see themselves doing it. As long as they can see themselves doing it and they can see it happening very quickly, because they can see the mathematics, understand that, and also the fact that we're going to raise money doing it as well. All of those things together, I think, should be enough to start really, you know, making people sit up. I know it's transformed the way that I've been sharing it already with people offline. Like when I'm talking about it, they can see the certainty, and they're just ready. I think they just get more ready.
I think the other thing as well, that's been going around in my mind when I think about how a lot of the religions, successful religions, have been set up. You know, they've gone out into the world, expressing their version of Creator and the divine plan, and they've had to set a framework in place, and they've been gathering donations. And when you look at like the Jehovah's Witnesses, who one of my family members is, they're a very, very wealthy organisation, and there's going to come a point where people that are witnesses, Christians, Muslims, that have been used to donating all their lives, are suddenly going to think, right, okay, what the path we're on isn't the ultimate plan. So their investment should automatically just align to GPMS, because it's for the global cause rather than their individual beliefs as you know, whatever faith they've been following all their lives. And I just think there'll be a tipping point where all these people that are already thinking the way that we're hoping people will think, in terms of wanting to give, to receive, and I just think it's just going to come flooding in. There's going to come a point where it'll come flooding in. I have no doubt in my mind at all it's going to come flooding in. But these early stages, we obviously there's some work to do, you know, publicising it and just making people see that it's a genuine option. It is the only option. There is no other option of unification that I can see out there. That, I mean, there's a few other rumblings of, you know, other organisations, but they're just nowhere near talking about alignment with Prime Creator. I've not heard anybody say this is inspired by Prime Creator. Have you guys? I've not. So I think once the penny drops and they realise that this is the real deal, it's going to move very, very rapidly. But yeah, I love the idea with the subscriptions that Barrett said, actually. I think that's another way of, you know, getting them registered. We can be sending them information, updates of the growth, and getting people excited on news bulletins, similar to what we're doing with the main GPMS site as well. That'd be, I think, a good aspect of it. Again, there's quite a bit of work involved with that, like with everything. But when you look at how a lot of the religions work, you know, the well-oiled machines, you know, the wealth that they're generating. I mean, quite some time ago, before it pushed me down the path towards GPMS, I nearly became a Jehovah's Witness. My brother-in-law did a massive selling job on me. And at that time, he believed that we are the number one. We're all over the world. The wealth, he was doing a big pitch on me, like a big pitch. And I've got to say, I was impressed how organised and wealthy and everything the organisation was, but there was just aspects of it that just didn't sit right with me. There was just something that I couldn't put my finger on it, but I just got a feeling that there's just something not right here. Anyway, I'm glad my intuition told me to stand off and not get involved. But I think the whole learning experience of it taught me that, you know, they've managed to create a unified structure that is continually putting money back into it and allowing it to keep growing and growing and growing. And they can set up congregations in any country they want very, very quickly, because they've got the money there to do it. And I can see GPMS operating in a very similar way, because their money must have come in through a lot of donations over years and years and years. But I often wonder, how are they generating that much money, though?
Well, they do literally go door to door, don't they? They do go to door to door. I mean, to actually start promoting their church and getting people to go and attend, and then it's through the attendance that, of course, people are getting something. They're getting a level of value from that, because maybe there's a social aspect and it's feeling part of something, and then it's obviously, you know, then they are subscribing to that belief and the importance of sharing that belief with others and getting others to sort of join, with them. But the issue is obviously with all of the religions, it's always you're always, to try and convince someone that's already got their own belief system to then change their belief system. It means that you're going to, and there's so many different belief systems. It's a very, very slow process, and it's about, because they're all trying to do the same thing. Whereas actually with GPMS, it's bringing to light the fact that not one single belief system can say that if you're truly embodying that belief system, that you believe that capitalism, which basically creates a divide in wealth, and you can only, with that system, only have, poor people, larger amounts of poor people than rich people, and you won't ever have equality. You can't be aligned with that model if you're truly a believer in any of these religions. So again, it's interesting because you never see people at the tops of the church or the tops of these religious groups actually identifying that and highlighting that to the people in their religion and their followers and the people in their faith, where actually this is an absolute fact. So again, and people are starting to this is where people are starting to universally recognize this is true, like that capitalism isn't right. It doesn't serve, and they're saying that that you've got a few people running the show, and that's going to continue whilst you've got that form of economics. But again, also whilst you've got centralized governments, so it's got to be decentralized. It's got to be, creating something that benefits all people. That is in alignment with all of the religions, and then you don't have to change your belief system. You can stick with it and just be in alignment with that, and that's it. And that's where everyone can join us, and we can live happily ever after. So. Yeah, it's but yeah, the funding definitely. Like every charity, these organisations, they require funds, there's no shame in requesting. But yeah, subscribing is a great idea. Even starting off with buy me a coffee. These sorts of modalities obviously are quite good to obviously raise a bit of money initially, but then obviously when it starts becoming a proper crowdfund where lots of people coming in and they're sharing it, and we're getting those numbers growing exponentially, those funds can really quickly accrue into being big amounts, which can then just mean that we can do all kinds of amazing things very rapidly, move things forward. So yeah, so that's the sum of it. But yeah, it's exciting. We've got our meeting on Saturday, so I think on Saturday it'll be good just to have a free flow conversation. We might record it, but not necessarily do it as something like this where there'll be people like tuning in to listen. But this has been great, brother. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you to both of you, Donovan and Darren. I'm sure we'll get the looking forward to our meeting on Saturday, and we'll go with the flow. We might record it or some aspects, but this is the start of many. So, gentlemen, thank you, and to all our beautiful viewers out there, sending much love, peace to you all, and bless you. And see you soon. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Bioactivator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Barrett Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and